الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وقرآنه الحميد وقوله الحق: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Tonight, inshallah, we will continue our discussion from the previous night as we are celebrating the birth of Imam Al-Mahdi Al-Muntadhar Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Al-Sharif on the 15th of Sha'ban. Last night we started our discussion about some of the reasons and goals of the occultation, the Ghaybat of the Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Al-Sharif, where we discussed 3 points last night about the Ghaybat. What are they? One is Allahu A'lam. Sayyid wanted to have the first, because usually this side wins. Now this time, finally, he tried to save the face. So, alhamdulillah, yes, Allahu A'lam, true. One of the reasons why is Allahu A'lam. Ultimately, this is the ultimate reason. Yani, really, the real reason for his Ghayba, Allahu A'lam. Allah is the best knower. Yes, Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam in some ahadith have given us some reasons. We don't know anything except what Allah and Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam teach us. Otherwise, what do we know? So, one of the main reasons is Allahu A'lam. Allah knows best. That's the one. Correct. Second, fear. That's right. We said fear either for being killed, just like his forefathers were all killed, the A'imma alayhimus salam, or the fear not necessarily for himself, the fear for the message itself. Yani la samahallah, God forbid, if something were to happen to him, what's going to happen to the message? So that fear there too. And what was the third one? Do we remember? What? The completion of the number, correct. Ikmalul adad. And what was the number? 313. Good job. So he's waiting for 313 people like the companions of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. People who would submit to the Imam with no questions asked. Yani Imam says, do this, khalas, they do it. Most people, unfortunately, are not like that. Most people are not. At least they would question. We read in the Quran this ayah which we constantly read. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala al-Nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajil farajah. O those who believe, or surely surely Allah and His angels send their salat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all those who believe, sallu alayhi, you also send your salawat upon him. وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Here, وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. What does it mean? It means you have complete submission. Minat taslim. not min as-salam. وَسَلِّمُوا يعني yes, okay, وَسَلِّمُوا, like we say in salat, السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. And by the way, interestingly, الشيء بالشيء يذكر. In salat, my brothers and sisters, in salat, throughout the salat, we have to keep the conversation between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. يعني for example, in the qunut, we say ربنا آتنا. Say Allahumma kulli waliyika. We're talking to Allah. Allahumma, dua. We cannot talk to anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including the ma'soom. For example, there is a dua, many of you may know it. إلهي عظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء وانكشف الغطاء وضاقت الأرض ومنعت السماء, and so on and so forth, until there comes a section in the dua where it says, Ya Muhammad, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Ya Ali. Okay. That section, in that section of the dua, now we're talking to who? We're talking to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Adatun nida, ya, yani oh. And then to Amir al-Mu'mineen. That section cannot be read in the salat. Yani someone in the dua, in the qunut, wants to read Ilahi azam al-bala, barih al-khafa, kashaf al-ghita, so on and so forth. Once he gets to this point, he has to stop. In the salat, you're not allowed to speak to anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you are allowed to read whatever it is, as long as it is dhikrullah azza wa jal. For example, dua kumail. Someone is in the qunut, he says, Rabbana atina, and then all of a sudden he hears someone next to him starting dua kumail. He decides, let me also read dua kumail. So he starts reading dua kumail with this person. No problem. Nothing wrong with that. Because all of dua kumail is speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is no problem. Not just in the qunut. He's reading his Surah Al-Fatiha. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. The person next to him started dua kumail. He also started reading dua kumail with him. That's fine. In the salat, it's acceptable. It's fine. Once he finishes dua kumail, some of the fuqaha say it's good to repeat now Surah Al-Fatiha. Start it again. Some say no, continue. Continue from where you are. Regardless. Yani it's permissible in the salat to read dua, dhikrullah azza wa jal, but not to speak to someone else. However, this is the only exception when we say Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the only exception in the salat, which shows the great status of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Yani in this section, in this portion of the tashahhud, it's permitted. Other than this, no. Khalas. So going back to the point, my brothers and sisters, وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا, يعني complete submission. Submission, يعني khalas, don't ask questions. Okay? Tonight, if Allah gives us tawfiq, we will mention, inshallah, few more points about the ghayba, reasons for the ghayba. And then, inshallah, we will talk about what does the Imam do in the ghayba? Yani what are some of the actions that he takes? Do we benefit from him in the ghayba? How does it work? Very briefly, inshallah, we'll touch upon this, inshallah. One of the reasons of ghayba, according to a riwayah, a hadith, is every system of government will come to power and will fail, so that when he comes, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, no one can say, if I had come to power, if I was given the chance, I would have done the same thing as he did. For example, we have so many systems of governance in the world across the centuries. Communism is a system of government. The Soviet, for example, at the time, it was governed in the communist system. But did that system succeed? No. Ultimately, it collapsed and failed. So that system did not pass. today in most of the world the system of capitalism. But is that system also successful? Look what is happening. The other day I was in the United States and I saw a big billboard. Now, United States is one of the, I guess, most capitalistic countries in the world. I saw a big billboard in the United States. It said 1 in 6 children in the US go to bed hungry. 1 in 6 children in the United States are hungry. So if the system of capitalism is successful, why do 1/6 of the children in the United States go to bed hungry? And just a few years ago, the government approved a spending of $1 trillion on military. Just military. 1 trillion, not billion. Yani, just so you get, when you have 1 with 6 zeros before it, what is that? That's 1 million. 1 with 9 zeros before it, that's a billion. 1 with 12 zeros before it. يعني million of a million. Can you imagine how big that number is? That was approved as a budget for military. Yet we have 1/6 of the children sleeping hungry. So this system is capitalism. Other isms, all these isms, they will come to power until they all fail. So when he, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, comes and he establishes his justice, no one would get the opportunity to claim that, if we had come to power, we would have done it differently. We would have done it like him. That's not going to happen. So one of the reasons for the Ghaybat of the Imam, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, is so that all the systems come to power and prove to fail, so that his system, Salamullahi alayh, which is Allah's system, proves to succeed. We got a glimpse of this system from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih, his government, as well as the government of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Salamullahi alayh. In the government of Imam Ali alayhi salam, no one was homeless and no one would sleep hungry. And this is with him ruling over the entire Middle East of today. That whole region of the Middle East was under his government, Salamullah, with the exception of Sham. Sham was not under his rule. And Iran, today's Iran, was all Afghanistan. All that was under his government, Salamullahi alayh. Egypt, on the other end, that side, all under his government, Salamullahi alayh. All this region was under his government, and not a single person who was homeless or hungry. So that's one reason. Or that's reason number 4 now. You're with me? Okay. Reason number 5. Pay attention to this one. This is reason called at-tazayyul. What is tazayyul? Tazayyul means to differentiate. There are some people in history who were very evil. They were bad people. Yet they had children who were very pious people. Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, who was a governor over Kufa and Hijaz, he was against the Shia and the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. He would persecute them, hunt them, and kill them. He, for example, killed Kumail ibn Ziyad al-Nakha'i, rahimahullah, the one who taught us dua, Kumail. He killed him. He killed Qambar, the servant of Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullahi alayh. One day he was in his palace, in his court, he said, find me a Shi'i, so that أتقرب إلى الله بدمه. سبحان الله. أتقرب إلى الله بدمه. يعني I would kill him seeking nearness to Allah. والعياذ بالله. They told him, we don't know of any muwali لعلي ibn Abi Talib today in Kufa better than Qambar, his servant. He is the most muwali. He said, then bring me Qambar. They brought him and he killed him. Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayh. He killed Sa'id ibn al-Jubayr. Ridwanullah ta'ala alayh, who was one of the companions of Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam. So he would find all the Shia and kill them. Yet his grandson was a Shi'i, mu'min, muttaqi, poet, praising Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So some people would say, why would Allah create someone like Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi? First of all, Hajjaj, he chose to be such a person. Allah did not make him. He chose. He could have been a mu'min, muttaqi, God-fearing. He chose. Allah gave us free will. We are responsible for our decisions. We're not robots where we are manipulated. يعني خلاص. No, we make this. You chose to come here tonight. You chose to listen. Therefore, you get the ajr and the thawab. Others chose not to. And so they may be deprived of the ajr and the thawab. So this is your choice. خلاص. You chose to pray tonight. You get the ajr and the thawab, and so on and so forth. So the concept of tazayyul is the Imam Salamullahi alayh may not come back until every mu'min is born from every tyrant. There is an ayah in the Quran in Surah Al-Fath, ayah number 25. Surah Al-Fath, ayah 25. هم الذين كفروا وصدوكم عن المسجد الحرام والهدي معكوفا أن يبلغ محله ولولا رجال مؤمنون ونساء مؤمنات لم تعلموهم أن تطؤوهم فتصيبكم منهم معرة بغير علم ليدخل الله في رحمته من يشاء. All this is now introduction for this concept. لو تزيلوا لعذبنا الذين كفروا منهم عذابا أليما. لو تزيلوا, meaning if their mu'min descendants have come out, have been born, we would have punished the kuffar. But these kuffar, some of them still have children who have not yet been born. These children will be mu'mineen, muttaqeen, God-fearing. So that tazayyul hasn't happened yet. And therefore Allah is not punishing these kuffar, these individuals, until those children are born. This is out of rahmatullahi azza wa jal. So one of the reasons for the ghayba of the Imam ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif is this concept called at-tazayyul. Tazayyul means the birth or the mu'mineen being born from parents who are kuffar. I have come across some sheikhs who used to be Hindus. And then, subhanallah, the nur of Iman reached their heart and they became Shia, and then they studied, and now, mashallah, they are shuyukh and they do tabligh. I know a person who's a sheikh who used to be Christian. He became a mu'min, became a Shia, and then studied, and now, mashallah, he's a sheikh and he preaches. How many such people do we know? People who were born from other religions, and then, subhanallah, the nur of Iman comes to their heart, and they become mu'mineen. They become muttaqeen, salihin. So, such examples we see in our day and age. These children, these individuals will continue being born until there come a time where they all have been born. That is one reason, insha'Allah, for the ghayba of the Imam. At that time, the Imam may reappear, ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. So that's another reason. This is reason number 5 now. So reason number 4 is that all the systems govern and fail, so that when he governs, salamullahi alayh, no system can argue that we could have done the same. Reason number 5 is all the mu'mineen children would be born from their ancestors who may be, wal-'iyadu billah, kuffar, or non-religious, not mu'mineen. Reason number 6, and we'll finish with this one in terms of the reasons. There are more reasons, but we'll finish with this one. A test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His ghaybat is a test from Allah. Allah is testing all of us. Bani Israel, as long as Prophet Musa ala nabiyyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam was amongst them, they were fine. When did they worship the calf? When he left them. He leaves them for 40 days. Now he told them, I'm going to go for 30 days. وَوَعَدْنَا مُوسَى 30 لَيْلَةً. So he told them 30 days. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to test them, added 10 more days. So, and then when he left, he said to his brother Harun, you'll be the leader. And he leaves. Until day 30, they were okay. Day 31, Musa is not back yet. As-Samiri gets up. Samiri gets up and says, I guess Musa is not there. Khalas, Musa is gone. And I think it is time for us to take care of the affairs. Harun, ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam, he said, well, I am the one in charge. I am a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to wait for Musa alayhi salam. We have to believe in Allah. He said, no. He said, give me the gold, the jewelry, etc., etc. Within few days, by day 34, 35, 36, he had made already the calf for them, and they started worshipping the calf. Yani not even 10 days after Musa alayhi salam exceeded the number of the days that he told them. Khalas. They started worshipping something else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when did the test happen? When Musa left them. When is our test? When our Imam Ajjalallah ta'ala farajahu sharif left us. But he did not leave us. He just is in a place where we cannot see him. He's with us, but we cannot see, we don't recognize him. We don't recognize him. So it's a big test. Among these tests, among the tests that we face today, brothers and sisters, is social media. Social media is one of the challenges we have today. Now, it's something that can be used positively, but it's also something that can be used very negatively. How much time do people spend on social media? How many of our teenagers have, mashallah, these Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and so on? And they spend hours on them, looking at videos, shorts, chatting, wasting time. It's rare that you find some of those mu'mineen who are actually using it to watch lectures about Ahlul Bayti alayhimus salam, learning about Ahlul Bayti alayhimus salam. This is one of the problems that we're having today. Now, some of the youth here might say, Sheikh, everyone has it. So what? Everyone has it. You do what's right. You don't do something because everyone else does it. And that's a problem that we have today. People say, all my friends in school have it. So what? Let them all have it. I will choose not to have it if it's going to waste my time. Unfortunately, today, we waste so much time on these things. Another problem we're facing today is these shorts, those TikTok shorts and those YouTube shorts and so on and so forth. Because our brains, now do you guys watch these shorts? You don't watch them? Alhamdulillah. Any of you guys watch them? Short. Like TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts. You don't even know what they are. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Okay. I think so, you need some youngsters to teach you what they are. These shorts, one day I was with some mu'mineen like you, and I told them, how long are they? They say it's about 30 seconds, give or take. I said, do you watch something more than 30 seconds? They don't know, that will be too long. We don't watch it. More than 30 seconds is too long. What's happening with these shorts is once we get used to watching them, we are training our brain for a short focus span. يعني a span of focusing of 30 seconds, 1 minute. We're training our brain. Now our brain is getting trained for this. Therefore, when I see, for example, there is a lecture that's like half an hour. Ooh, half an hour. Allah. 30 seconds is too long. Now half an hour, I'm going to sit down and listen to a lecture. Why? Because we're not trained to it now. We're trained to 30 seconds, 1 minute. That's what our brain is getting trained for. I'm not sure how many of you, brothers and sisters, did a'mal of Laylat al-Nisf min Sha'ban. It's a holy night, mashallah, great night, second only to Laylatul Qadr. And this year, subhanallah, it was also Laylatul Jumu'ah, يعني نور على نور. Subhanallah, amazing. The a'mal of Laylatul Nisf min Sha'ban take approximately 2 hours. Approximately, give or take. Some people will say, look, 2 hours? Ooh, that's too long. Why? Because they haven't trained themselves for it. It's a training process. A'mal of Laylatul Qadr take the whole night, not just 2 hours. They take more than 6 hours if you want to do certain additional a'mal. So if you have not trained yourself for the 2 hours, you think you'll stick around for the 6 hours? See what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? Why? It's just like the person who runs a 10K marathon. Day one, he didn't run 10K on day one. Day one, he may have run like 500 meters, for example. Then slowly he trained for 1 kilometer, slowly for 2, until he managed to go 10K with no problem. He can do 10K easy. How? He trained himself. Similarly, we need to train ourselves. We need to train ourselves. That I do a'mal. Interestingly, there is a'mal of Laylat al-Sabi' wal-'Ishrin min Shahr Rajab. The 27th of Rajab, there were a'mal. Those were even shorter. This might take about an hour. Subhanallah, Allah is trying to prepare us. If you do the a'mal of the 27th of Rajab, that's about 1 hour. A'mal of the 15th of Sha'ban, that's about 2 hours. A'mal of Laylat al-Qadr, that's about 6 hours, give or take. 4 to 6 hours, depending how much you do. Okay? You're training yourself. Once you've trained yourself, 6 hours is no problem, no big deal. You do the 6 hours, adi, no problem. That's what we need to do, brothers and sisters. The Ghaybat of the Imam has this test. But if I'm used to just looking at shorts, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then they tell me 2 hours of a'mal, or watch this 1 hour long lecture, Sheikh Usama Al-Atar is lecturing for an hour. Oh, 1 hour, oh, hey. Let me bring my sleeping bag, if that's what's going to happen. So, because we're not trained to it. We're not trained to watch and listen for an hour. Okay? So that's what the problem with these shorts. So my dear brothers and sisters, my advice to you is to avoid watching shorts for a long period of time. What do I mean by a long period of time? Yani not more than 3, maybe 4 per day, that's it. This way your brain doesn't get trained for it. You're training your brain for 30-second segments. Making your attention span very short. So slowly I have to stop watching them completely until I can retrain my brain to start focusing for a bit longer. These shorts, or watching a lot of shorts, has been associated with lack of sleep, which makes sense. I asked some people, on average, how much time do you watch? They say about 2 hours. Okay, if it's 1 minute per short, 1 minute, that's how many videos in 2 hours? 120. And usually these videos are random. They're not like attached to each other. Random news, random information. So your brain just got exposed to 120 different information. When you put your head on the pillow, what do you think is going to happen? What's your brain going to do? It's going to start rewind, play this enormous amount of information that you just got. And hence, it will make you less prone to falling asleep. And the problem is this. How many of us, when you start having a hard time falling asleep, what do? You go reach to your phone again. That's terrible. You reach the tablet, that's just as bad. Okay. It's just as bad. What one needs to do before, what we used to do, we used to read a book, a hard book, real book, not an e-book, so that we can fall asleep. Read Quran until one falls asleep. No, this is good. Now, all that information is in our brain. So it has been associated with lack of sleep, insomnia. It's also been associated with less focus, ADHD, people developing attention deficit, because there's just so much information that the brain keeps on getting hyped up for, and small amounts of time, 30 seconds, 1 minute, khalas. So these are all problems that we are facing in this day and age. These are among the challenges. Among the challenges that we are facing is to keep the deen. Unfortunately, we live in a society where if you're a mu'min, you're a muttaqi, people will start making fun of you. Unfortunately, even the mu'mineen will make fun of you. Yani someone would say, I take care of my food, I don't want to eat anything. You say, لا تصعبها يا أخي, خلاص, مشيها بعد, الكل يأكل. طيب الكل يأكل, خلي الكل يأكل. Everyone is eating, so what? I want to make sure the food I eat is halal. I want to count my khums. I want to make sure the khums is correct. Like, is this how I calculated? Say, yes, احنا already ندفع. يعني هالنوبة بعد, oh, we're already paying. And we have to, all these, yes, all these details, because this is Imam's money, not my money. I have to be extremely careful. Makeup is haram in the public. Ya Sheikh, don't make it complicated. We're wearing the hijab. Nurun ala nur, but makeup is also haram. It's good you're wearing the hijab, but makeup is also haram. But when you live in a society that normalizes sin, wal-'iyadhu billah. It's normal, adi. Everyone, wal-'iyadhu billah, is doing it. What happens to our brain? We start to accept it. How many times do we see, for example, if you walk by a barber shop or someplace, a woman is cutting the hair of a man? That's a haram, that's sin. But people say, oh, adi. They don't even think of it as a sin. Why? Because they're so used to it, wal-'iyadhu billah. It doesn't mean that just because you got used to it, it's normal. Drinking alcohol is a major sin, wal-'iyadhu billah. But how many people do it that we became desensitized towards it? Okay, they drink it, I don't drink it. But no, it's haram. Ghaybat, backbiting. How many of us are guilty of it, wal-'iyadhu billah? So common when it's haram. Making fun of other people. And this is one thing that the internet tried to normalize. People making fun of other people, either because of their looks or because of their skin color, because of their height, whatever. They choose certain things and they start making fun of other people, to the point where students start coming to the school and they start using these kind of jokes because to them it's normal. Everyone is talking about it. They're like, it's funny. They don't realize it's haram. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خير منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكن خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان والعياذ بالله. Don't make fun. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم. Don't make fun of any other people. They may be better than you. How do you know? You're making fun of someone because, for example, of his skin color, because of his socioeconomic status. For example, he can't afford all the luxurious clothing that you might be able to afford, but he's a better mu'min than you. How do you know? Don't make fun of anyone. Never. Quran says. So brothers and sisters, these are among the challenges of today. People, unfortunately, they still want, let me watch this Instagram. How many likes did I get? How many likes? Oh, I got several likes. MashaAllah, wonderful. Who cares? Does Allah like it or does He not like it? That's the real. Does my Imam like it or not? So these are some important things that we go through. What does the Imam Salamullahi alayhi do in his Ghaybat? So these 6 now reasons we've given about the Ghaybat of the Imam. Okay. Do we remember them? The first one, Sayyid MashaAllah, you know it really well. What is it? Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. We don't know. Second one was the fear. Third one was the number, the Ikmal al-Adad, the 313. He's waiting for the 313. Number 4 that we discussed today was the government systems, exactly, the governing systems, that all the systems will come to governors and fail, so he will come and prove them wrong. Salamullah alayhi. Number 5 that we discussed, do you remember the word? Tazayyul, at-tazayyul, which is a Quranic concept. It's a Quranic concept based on Surah Al-Fatih, ayah 25, where the mu'mineen would be born. All the mu'mineen would be born from maybe some people who are not mu'mineen, who are kuffar maybe even. That's 5. And the last one is a test, challenge, test for the people. Will you remain on the path of Ahlul Bayt? Will you remain as loyal to Ahlul Bayt? Will you believe in him? Or will you start doubting, where is he? Because of the challenges we faced over the last couple years in the world, many people say, where is the Imam? Why doesn't he come? This is your test. This is the test. Gotta be patient. Gotta be patient. He'll come when the time is right, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the permission. Thus. Now, we come to the next point. Why is the Imam in Ghaybat, in the sense, what is he doing in the Ghaybat? My brothers and sisters, the Imam Salamullah alayhi is not living in a cave in the middle of nowhere or in an island in the middle of nowhere. The Imam is amongst us, with us. He participates in activities and events. We may even see him but don't even recognize him. He's with us. He's there. And there is Quranic evidence for this. Prophet Al-Khidr, or not a prophet, Al-Abdul Salih, Al-Khidr, with Prophet Musa, ala nabiyyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam. The story in Surah Al-Kahf. Prophet Musa comes to Al-Khidr. Al-Khidr was Abdul Salih. And there is a riwayah, he is keeping our Imam, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, company. He's one of the people who keeps him company, with him all the time, serving him. This Khidr, he's hidden, he's unknown. Yet, he broke a ship, if you remember the story. He made a calculated break of a ship. Why did he break it? Later on, he explains. Why did he break the ship? Do you guys remember? There was a king who was coming after those poor people to steal their ship. So he damaged it in a calculated damage that doesn't drown it, but it makes it not suitable for the king. The king would not want it anymore. So he saved those poor people. He saved them, and he saved their ship, even though he was hidden. He killed a boy by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He built a wall by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's in the society, building, sometimes breaking, sometimes maybe even killing when necessary. He is actively participating, but he is hidden. He's not known. Our Imam is the same, salamullahi alayhi. He's in the society. He teaches, he educates, but while staying and keeping his distance. Sheikh Abbas Al-Qummi, rahimahullah, the author of Mafatih Al-Jinan, he mentions this story. The story of Qissat Al-Haj Ali Al-Baghdadi. Ali Al-Baghdadi. He got it from his teacher. Last night, if you remember, brothers and sisters, I mentioned the book by Al-Muhaddith Al-Nuri. Do you remember the name of the book? Now, that's going to be a challenging one. That's a tough question. Al-Najm Al-Thaqib. Al-Najm Al-Thaqib. By Al-Muhaddith Al-Nuri, rahimahullah. The teacher of Sheikh Abbas Al-Qummi. Al-Muhaddith Al-Nuri, the teacher of Sheikh Abbas, wrote the story in his book. Muhaddith al-Nuri himself says, I met Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi. I met him and he told me the story personally. And he, Sheikh al-Nuri rahimahullah, says Hajj Ali was a mu'min, zaki. He describes him as zaki. He was a businessman from Baghdad, but a pure man, a good man. He had a factory of textile in Baghdad. This story is from maybe 170 years ago, give or take, because at the time of the story, Sheikh Al-Ansari rahimahullah was alive. Sheikh Al-Ansari, the marja' of his day in Najaf. He died, Sheikh Al-Ansari, over 160 years ago, rahimahullah. فيعني this story is from over 170 years ago. Sheikh Ali al-Baghdadi. What is the story? I will really keep it abbreviated, because if I want to tell you the whole story, it might take us half an hour. But I'm going to really summarize it, really condense it down. Al-Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi, who lived in Baghdad, and this is again more than 170 years ago, he had khums amount of money to pay. He said, I traveled to Najaf. I met a Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari rahimahullah. I gave him part of my khumus. Then I went to another marja' al-taqlid in Najaf. I gave him another part of my khumus. Then I went to a third marja' al-taqlid in Najaf, and I gave him a third part of my khums. There still remained one last part of the khumus. So after paying those three maraji', he came back to Kadhimiyya. He said, I'll come to Kadhimiyya. And there was a marja' in there in Kadhimiyya at that time. His name was Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Al-Yasin. Big marja' in his days. He came to Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Al-Yasin and said, I'm going to give you part of the remaining amount. The other part, I seek permission from you to give it to you later. When I sell some of the textiles I have and I get some money, I'll pay you the khums. He said, no problem. Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Al-Yasin told him, why don't you stay? Because today is Thursday, so when it becomes Laylatul Jumu'ah, we go to Kadhimiyya and we do ziyarah. Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi said to the Sheikh, the marja', he said, I already went for ziyarah. I went for ziyarah, and then I came to see you. So I've already done my ziyarah. Today is Thursday. I want to get back quickly to my factory because I want to pay the workers. Today is Thursday. So every Thursday, I usually pay them. Okay. So he left. So Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi left. He said, as I was heading back to Baghdad from Kadhimiyya, on my way, I saw a Sayyid approaching me who was wearing a imama, green imama. Yani he was not wearing the imama of the ulama. And he had a abaya on him. And he was wearing it. So he approached me. It seems that he was intending to come to me. And he came to me. He said, Salamu alaikum, Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi. How are you? I said, Wa alaikum as-salam wa rahmatullah. He said, do you know me? He said, yes, how can I not know you? You are the one who tuaddi huquqana. You give the haqq that is in your neck that you have to pay. You make those payments. He said, and how do you know? He said, didn't you go and see our representative, wakilana, fi Najaf, Sheikh Al-Ansari, and Sheikh Fulan was Sheikh Fulan? You went to see those three ulama maraji', you gave them the khums, and then you came here to Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Al-Yasin. He said, I thought maybe this Sayyid is one of those people who the maraji' pay him money because he's needy. He's in need. So when the maraji' get money, they tell him, come, Sahm al-Sada, there is Sayyid portion. And that's how he knows. Maybe the money that I gave, somehow they reached him and they told him here. And that's how he knows about it. I said, okay. He said, where are you going now, Hajj Ali? He said, I'm heading back to Baghdad. He said, come to Kadhimiyya, let's do ziyarah. He said, I already did my ziyarah in the morning. He said, well, don't you want to come and do ziyarah so that two would do shahada for you, testify for you, that you are muwali li jaddina Amir al-Mu'mineen walana. You come and do ziyarah. So two would do shahada testimony. One is Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Al Yasin, and I'm the second. We'll testify. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, and have two witnesses, shahiday, two. So Sheikh Muhammad Hassan and I, that will be your testimony. He said, I remembered that, wait a minute, I had spoken to Sheikh Muhammad Hassan in the past to write me a testimony, to say, Ashhad, because he's مرجع التقليد, أشهد أن الحاج علي البغدادي موالي لأهل البيت عليهم السلام. He said, I had asked him for this, and now this man says he will be the second, so that'll be good. He said, I don't know why. I said, okay, khalas, fine, let's go. So I wanted to head back to my factory. Instead, I went with him. So we started heading towards Kadhimiyya again. We came across a road. Back then, it used to be called the road of the Sayyid, Sadeh. Usually, the Sayyids would take that road. He said, but us, I'm not a Sayyid, so usually I would not take this road. So he wanted to take this road, the Sayyid's road. I told him, I am not a Sayyid. He said, no, you come with us, no problem. We give you permission. Come with me. So he said, I walked with him. As I was walking with him, I told him, I heard, you know, this area, this is like a farm that belonged to Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. But the government has seized it. This is ard ghasb. He said to me, no problem. We give permission to our Shia to walk across this land. We give them permission. So he said, okay. We kept going. We kept going. Then I started asking him different questions. I told him, I attended a lecture by so-and-so sheikh. He said this hadith. Is this hadith correct? He said, yes, that hadith is correct. What about this hadith? Another sheikh mentioned this hadith. Is that correct? He said, yes, this hadith. What about this one? Yes, this is correct. Again, you want the details, you go back to Mafatih al-Jinan or Najm al-Thaqib. I'll give you all the details. I'm taking an abbreviation here. Then, listen to this now. He said, as we were walking, then I started asking this man. I said, a few years ago, we went for Ziyaratul Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam. Was my ziyarah accepted? He said, yes, it was. He said, what about my friend so-and-so? He also joined me. Was his ziyarah accepted? He said, yes, his ziyarah was also accepted. He said, then I asked him, what about so-and-so? There was a person. He came for ziyarah. He said, the Imam did not answer me. So I repeated my question. What about so-and-so? He said, the Imam did not answer me. Or that person, that Sayyid, did not answer. He kept quiet. Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi says, that person, كان عاقا لوالديه. This person who, the Sayyid, did not answer me, he was unfortunately not good to his mother. He was not good to his mother. So brothers and sisters, be very careful. La samahallah. Be very careful with your parents. One might go all the way to Ziyarat al-Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam and his ziyarah would not be accepted. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Because of your akhlaq with your parents. He said we continued until we arrived to Babul Murad. Babul Murad. He said, he told me, do you read the ziyarah? He said, I don't know how to read. Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi said, I don't know how to read. I'm a businessman, but I don't know how to read. He said, then I will read the ziyarah, and you read it with me. He said, okay. First of all, he read Idhnud Dukhul. This is at the gate of the Dharih. Idhnud Dukhul, the permission to enter. So he said, here I started reading. He said, Assalamu ala Amir al-Mu'mineen, ala al-Hasan wal-Husayn, until he reached to al-Hasan al-Askari alayhi salam. He says, then he turned to me and he said, do you know the Imam of your time? تعرف إمام زمانك? قلت بلى. He said, yes, I know. He said to me then, سلم عليه. Then say the salam upon him. I said, السلام عليك يا حجة ابن الحسن المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. He said, this Sayyid turned to me, he said, وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى. So far, Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi doesn't know what's happening. So far, he still has not gotten it. He said, then we went inside the Darih. He told me, do you want to read the ziyarah or shall I read it? He said, no, you read it because I don't know how to read. He said, he started reading. I told him, which ziyarah are you going to read? He said, Ziyaratu Aminillah. Ziyarat Aminillah. He said, that's one of the best ziyarat to read. He said, so he started reading, As-salamu ala aminayillah. Sighat al-muthanna. Because who's buried in Kadhimiyya? Imam Al-Jawad and Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam. So he started reading Ziyarat Aminullah, but in the dual form. And I read with him. Then he finished, he told me, tonight is Laylatul Jumu'ah. How about we do Ziyarat al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam? I said, sure. He read Ziyarat Warith, and I read with him. By the time he finished, the adhan of Maghrib started. Behind Darih al-Kadhimain alayhim salam, there is a masjid. Now it's part of the shrine. Now it's part of the haram. Back then it was a masjid. They pray Salat al-Jama'ah there. If you notice, behind the Darih. He told me, there is Salat al-Jama'ah there, go pray. Go pray. So I went to pray and he stood on the side, praying on the side. When I finished praying, I came back, I didn't see him anymore. Like, where is he? He's gone. I thought to myself, while I was praying, that when I come back to him and I see him, I still have some of the khums. I took permission from the Sheikh to give me time. I will give him some of the Sahm al-Sada to the Sayyid. Maybe he's in need. Because he apparently is connected to those Maraj' al-Taqleed. They probably give him, so I'm going to give him as well some of the Sahm, some of that portion of the Sayyids. I came back, I couldn't see him anymore. I kept looking for him, I couldn't find. We went back, you know, at the entrance where you leave your shoes, Samuha al-Kishwaniyya, where they leave the shoes. Because we had entered together, we left our shoes together. So I went back to there, I asked the person who was at the Kishwaniyya. I said to him, my friend who came with me, the companion who came with me, did he pick up his shoes? He said, yes, he picked up his shoes and left. He said, at that point, I started reflecting a little bit. Now I started to reflect on all that happened from the beginning. He said, first of all, he came to me and he knew me, Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi. He knows me well. Second, when he spoke about the Maraji', Sheikh Al-Ansari, Sheikh Ali Yasin, Sheikh Al-Shuruqi, اللي كان في النجف, one of the ulama of the Najaf. These ulama, these Maraji', he said, Wukalai. He said, they're my representatives, my Wukala. You gave the money, the khums money, to Wukalai. He said, who would say Wukalai? They're Maraji' Taqleed. He came. When he entered, I asked him all sorts of questions and he was answering me. This hadith is sahih, this hadith is correct, that hadith is correct. This person's ziyarah is accepted, that person's ziyarah is accepted. This one, he kept quiet. Al-aqli walideh wal-'iyadhu billah. He went for the ziyarah, he did salam on all the imams except himself. When I said the salam, he turned to me and said, wa alayka salam. Then it dawned upon him. That's when he realized who he had just met. Al-Shaykh al-Nuri rahimahullah met Hajj Ali al-Baghdadi and he told him, tell me the story, so I would document it and write it down. And he wrote it down. يعني the Imam Salam Allah alayh, if you remember yesterday, my friends, when I said Az-Zuhari saw the Imam, he saw him in what form? What was he wearing? Do you remember? What? Hay'at al-Tujjar, clothing of the business people. Haj Ali al-Baghdadi saw him wearing abaya, imama, green imama, not the imama of the ulama, the sayyids, yani the sayyid imama, or the imama that usually the people of the religion, shuyukh wal ulama. Imama there. So he is there, brothers and sisters. He spoke to Haj Ali al-Baghdadi. He affirmed some ahadith. He mentioned something indirectly about someone who's aaq li walidayh wal iyadu billah, someone who does not respect his parents. So the Imam Salamullahi alayh is there. He comes. He's interacting with us, with the society, with the people. He's living amongst us. But we don't recognize him, like Haj Ali al-Baghdadi did not recognize him. He's also there to support the Shia, the Mu'mineen. And we'll finish with this. Some people experience difficulty. There was a man who comes from an area in Afghanistan that is very much against Shia. One of the people in that whole tribe became a Shia. When he became Shia, it was like, my goodness. Everyone was talking about it. How could he become a Shia? This story is mentioned by a alim who was in Najaf and then went to Qum. His name is known as Al-Mudarris Al-Afghani, rahimahullah. He is Ustad al-Fuqaha. Today you name me a faqih, I'll tell you he's a student of the Mudarris. Any of the fuqaha you know today, they're his students. He was a teacher in the house. Ustad al-Fuqaha. He says, when that person became a Shia, the whole place was talking about it. It was like some major news. So we asked him, why? How? He said, when I was little, we had a servant, a lady who used to come and serve in our house. One day, I went into her room, and as she was praying, but I saw the form of her salat was different. At the time, I was about 7 years old, child. She had her hands down, not across. And she had something at the place of her sujood. So I waited. I told her, why do you pray like this? And you have something there. She said, I am a Shia. He said, what is the Shia? She said, no, she wanted to speak to a child. She said, we believe that there is an Imam. His name is Abu Salih Al-Mahdi, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Al-Sharif. When we are in difficulty, we call him, he comes and helps us. He said, okay. How old was he? 7. He said, I grew up. One day I decided to go to Hajj. Back in those days, they used to travel by camels. He said, we traveled by camel, and somehow I got lost from my group. I got lost. I finished all my food, my water, and I started losing my health slowly. Became thirsty in the heat of the desert to the point where I thought I'm gonna die. At that point, I remembered that lady. She told me she was Shia. And she told me whenever they get in difficulty, they call Abu Salih Al-Mahdi, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Al-Sharif. So I called him, and I said, calling him, and I said, if he comes to help me, I will become a Shia. He said, as I was calling, and I was really tired, I was about to die. All of a sudden, I saw a man standing at my head. He said, what's the matter? Said, I got lost in the desert. He said, come with me. Let's go. He takes my hand. He helps me get up. Then we walk together, and he says, look, where are you going? He said, I'm going to Mecca. He said, there is Mecca right there. I said, hey, yeah, that's right. This is Mecca right here. He said, go, khalas. This is Mecca. This is where you go. As I was about to go, he says, don't forget what you promised. Don't forget what you promised. And he left. He said, I was overwhelmed with joy that I saw Mecca. I'm not going to die. That I forgot about this man. He left, and I just ran to Mecca. I was thirsty, hungry. So by the time I managed to quench my thirst, get settled a little bit, then I started thinking, wait a minute. Who was this man? Where did he come from? And how did he know that I made a promise? He said, that's when I realized, khalas, this is the one. So I fulfilled the promise. I became a Shia. My brothers and sisters, the Imam is amongst us. He lives with us. We see him, but we may not recognize him. We need to strengthen our bond to him. Every morning, if you can, read Dua al-Ahad. Read Dua al-Ahad. Make it, it's not wajib, but make it wajib. What do I mean? Khalas, tell yourself, just like I pray Salat al-Fajr, I'm going to read Dua al-Ahad. You don't have time, on your way to school, on your way to work, listen to it and read it. Dua al-Ahad. Once at least in your qunut, once in the 5 daily prayers, read Allahumma kulli waliyik. At least once, if not more. This way you constantly remember the Imam of your time, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. 3, if you can, every day after Salat al-Fajr, if you can. Pray 2 rak'at salat, give the thawab to him, and make the niyyah for his safety, protection, and to hasten his reappearance. Every day, if you can. 2 rak'at salat. Give the thawab to the Imam, salamullahi alayhi. This way, you're always remembering him. 4, give sadaqah in the name of the Imam every day, if you can. Every day, in his name. For his safety, for his protection. You give sadaqah. So these 4 things. 5, once a week, if you can, at least on Fridays, read Ziyarat Al-Yasin. Ziyarat Al-Yasin. It's short, it doesn't take too long. If you read it by yourself, once you get used to it, maybe 3-4 minutes and you have it finished. These are important things to do so that we can increase our connection to him, so that inshallah he comes back and we will be ready for him.